So now let's talk about absolute references. When copying or filling cells, there are occasions when you do not want a cell relation to alter. In the formula, you can use an absolute reference to hold the row or column constant. So in order to do this, the addition of a dollar sign to the formula designates an absolute relation. It may come before the column or row reference or both. So when writing formulas with other references, you will almost certainly use the $sign, a $sign to format. So the other formats are much less commonly used. To build and copy a formula with absolute reference, follow these steps. So in the example below, we will going to calculate the sales tax of each item. So here's the example. So then we're going to compute the sales tax over here at D4. Then we will going to make cell E2, and we're going to put some dollar sign on each row and columns in order to make it an absolute reference. So in order for the tax rate to remain unchanged. So what we're going to do is we're going to try it. So let's look at this formula first. So over here, if we're going to see, we have $A, $2. So meaning it's the column and row do not change when copied. So you can see that A is a column, 2 is a row. So if you want, or if you do not want to copy the row, you can just simply put a $2. The row is constant but the column is not. Or the other way around, the column is constant and the 2 or the row is not. So let's try this on this particular example. Okay, so on this one, the 7.5 should be applied in all of this and it should remain constant. So let's try. So we're going to choose the cell where the formula will be entered. So in this case, we're going to choose D4. To measure the desired value or calculate the desired value, we're going to enter the formula. We are going to type equal sign, open parentheses, B4 multiplied by C4, close parentheses, multiplied by $E, $2, then this will be our absolute reference. So let's try this one. Equal sign, open parentheses, we're going to click B4 asterisk in order to have the operator for multiplication, then click C4, close parenthesis, multiplied by $E, then $2. So you can see that when I have typed this one automatically highlights. So let's try to press enter. I can see that this is the answer with the tax rate 7.5%. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this, so in order to have the same formula up to the 13. So you're going to use the fill handle option, going over here in the square. You can see over here that my mouse changes, meaning that I can click this and drag up to D13 and copy all the formula. And if you're going to look closely, you can see that this one changes because this part is the absolute reference, but this one does not, and it applies to all. because this is an absolute reference. So because we have put the dollar in front, so the column is constant and the row is also constant. So the only relative that can only be changed is this one. So this is commonly applied to every formula on this column, except that the only one that does not change is the one that has a dollar sign on both the columns and the rows. So if you're curious, if I'm going to put over here and I'm going to delete the dollar sign and just click E2, you can see that this is the same. But let's try to handle this one. You can see that this is all wrong, because if we're going to detect all of this, you can see that the line has also been copied up to here. So that is why it is very important that if this is constant, we should put a dollar sign both in front of the column. So I'm going to put again the dollar sign again, then press enter and click this one, then use the fill handle option, click and drag, then release your mouse, and you have the correct option. So if you're going to hover, we have the same formulas. This part again is the relative one, the one that changes, and this one is the one that is constant. So take note that you have to double check the formulas in the field cells. So double click them just like what we have done. So the absolute reference for each cell should be the same, while the other references should be relative to the cell lines. Another note is that when making an absolute reference through several cells, remember to include the dollar sign. When Google Sheet doesn't see the dollar sign, it interprets it as a relative reference, resulting in an incorrect result when copied to other cells. So that's how you create an absolute reference on a spreadsheet program.